Okay, just wanted to give a quick rundown of top dead center on a motorcycle engine. This is a 1991 Yamaha FZR 250. It's an inline 4. For the most part, the principles will be the same across all motorcycle engines. However, timing marks and some of the nitty-gritty details will probably differ from your bike. First thing, disclaimer, read your manual, read up on the 4-stroke cycle of a motorcycle engine. Don't jump into engine work unless you know what you're doing, or at least mostly familiar with what you need to achieve and how you're going to go about it. You can do serious damage to your engine if you don't understand the basics of how to do this kind of work, so make sure you do that. Okay, so when you get down to doing your engine work, you need to get cylinder 1 to top dead center. Now, if you've done your reading, you'll realize that there are 2 positions in the 4-stroke cycle that a cylinder will be at top dead center. The first one is the compression stroke. The second one is the exhaust stroke. You need to target the compression stroke top dead center for engine work, such as timing and other things. The first thing that we'll start is have a look at the timing marks. On this bike, there's a T mark on the flywheel. You'll see that it lines up pretty well with the marking on the engine casing there. What that means is that the crankshaft is definitely at top dead center. Coming to have a look at our camshafts. To tell the difference between exhaust and compression stroke, you need to look at the camshaft lobes. We're interested in cylinder 1 at this stage, left-hand side of the engine when sitting on the bike. What you'll see is that the bulky part of the lobes is pointing backwards on the intake side, and the same here on the exhaust side. What that means is that the lobes are not pushing down on the valves and not holding them open, which means you are definitely on the compression stroke for cylinder 1. This is the correct position to be in for doing engine work. If the lobes are not in this position, you need to rotate the crankshaft 720 degrees, which is around 2 full times to get to this position. It means that you are probably on the exhaust stroke for your motorcycle. Once you understand top dead center, you can check the positioning of all the other valves relative to the crankshaft position pretty easily. You need to consult your manual, which will tell you what the firing order of the bike is. This particular bike, cylinder 1 fires first, cylinder 2 second, cylinder 4 third, and then cylinder 3 last. So what will actually happen is that as you rotate the crank, you'll find that these lobe positions will next be replicated on cylinder 2, then cylinder 4, then cylinder 3. For every 180 degrees you rotate the crank, you'll find that this lobe position will be replicated across the cylinders, and so forth and so forth. Let's have a little bit of a look at that now. So, put a little bit of a text mark on here just so that I could see when it was opposite. If we rotate this in the direction of the engine rotation, and I line up my little text marks, you can see that's opposite, so that's 180 degrees. You'll see, having a look at the intake side on cylinder 2 now, and then also at the exhaust side of cylinder 2, you'll see that the lobes are in the same position that cylinder 1 was. So now you know that cylinder 2 is on the compression stroke. You know that you can now rotate this again, bring it back to our little T mark, line it up. That's pretty good. And then now you'll see cylinder 4 being the third in the cycle from both the intake and now, just get my caliper out of the way, the exhaust. The lobes are now indicating that cylinder 4 is on the compression side. Now, because this little T mark is lined up again, focus on this iPhone is terrible, never buy an iPhone, they are crap. Have a look now at cylinder 1. So even though your crankshaft is at top dead center, you know that you are not on the compression stroke because of your lobe position on cylinder 1. This is now completely pushing down, if I can show this in here, on your valves So cylinder 1 on the exhaust side is on the exhaust stroke. Rotating this again, another 180 degrees, just as we did before. You'll see that now lastly, cylinder 3 is now on the compression stroke. That is now 540 degrees, rotated at last 180, back to top dead center again. And we're now back at the compression stroke for cylinder 1. So there's your crash course in top dead center on a motorcycle engine.